There we go.
Let's party.
So I'm here with Rosa Marouane. I'm going to talk to you quickly about your practice, if that's all right. So why don't you tell us about your kind of influences, whether that's literature, artists, anything that informs your practice?
I mean, I kind of draw from like a lot of different places, but like especially a lot of philosophy at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So the writings of Gilles Deleuze are really like important to me. The movement image and the time image are incredibly significant, but also a lot of materialism. So Jane Bennett, although I do disagree with her, and like even people like Henri Bergson, who kind of ties the line between them, where he's talking about the idea of images in space and us as images working around them, because I like this idea of physicality and of exploring the material, kind of the physical properties of everything, whether it be images, light, and personhood.
Oh, okay, that kind of leads me on to my next question. I was going to ask you about how important materiality is in your work.
Incredibly, it's everything I do is in some way, shape or form exploring some element of that. I know a lot of material kind of works really explore this idea of Gestalt theory, like this whole, and I really disagree with that, because I'm really interested in this idea that everything's made up of multitudes. These are physical, they're material works, but the material isn't like a one thing, it's millions of things together. So I like making works that are made from components.
Okay, interesting. Is the materiality something you consider before or during the making process?
I think I do consider it during, but I study a lot of this before I work, and then when I'm working, it's informed by what I'm studying, but not at the same time, because I find otherwise I end up confounding the process. The process is its own thing. Working the material is an intuitive process, and that can be not corrupted, but you can kind of run yourself off course.
Yeah, you can get too anxious about things if you're only considering the theory as well.
And theory isn't made to make work. Theory is made for theory's sake.
Yeah.
So when work is made to work's sake, I guess.
Brilliant. So how is display significant to you?
I think it's important because I guess it's the interaction between yourself and these, like this material. So for me, it's just a case of I use images and I'll use digital works, but I think it is important to kind of have that in its own environment. So a digital work you should observe on a digital platform, because then you can interact with it in its own space. And the same way with a sculpture, you can walk around it in the space it's in, because otherwise you don't get the medium specific things. Like a painting, if you looked at a painting on a computer, you lose the aspects of a painting that make it painting. It becomes a digital work otherwise. And the same way, if you printed a digital work on a piece of paper, it's a print, not a digital work anymore.
Got you. Wow. Okay, so how's the pandemic maybe positively influenced your practice?
It's really helped me kind of move away from sculpture as simply a physical medium and explore how it kind of functions outside of it. Or maybe it just kind of made me reconsider the materials I use, because up until now it's mostly plaster. It's like not big pieces, because I don't like making big pieces. Though now I'm a trans woman, I was a cis man, and as a cis man at the time I didn't like the idea of making big phallic, monumental works, because I felt that was overdone. So I'm more interested in understated, smaller works. But the pandemic has really made me reconsider and maybe work a lot more with digital mediums and explore their kind of medium-specific properties. Like digital work kind of deteriorates in different ways to physical work. Like these terms are dust, but digital works maybe lose quality when you move them between programs, for example. So they do move and they do interact with space in a different way.
Great, perfect. And where can we find you online? Any platforms?
Yeah, Instagram, I've got Lager Shandy and Lager Shandy Arts. The first one for photography and sculpture, the second for any drawing collage pieces. And my website is lagershandy.net.
Brilliant! Woo! Thank you so much, Rosa. Bye.